I'm great, Mark. Love your show. I'm a farmer in southern Colorado, and things just don't quite make sense when everybody's talking about, the poor farmers, the poor farmers. Well, from my vantage point, the reason they're poor farmers is because they keep subsidizing us. And I'm probably the first farmer to say, hey, I don't want these subsidies. Let's let free markets work.
But you're right. But this creates a very bad mentality. These subsidies. It creates a very bad, like for instance, here I'm going to get in trouble again. I don't support ethanol. I don't support it, which means they're going to be angry with me in Iowa and Kansas. I don't care. I don't support it. You grow food to eat. And we got plenty of natural gas and plenty of oil. We don't need it. Anyway, go ahead.
Well, I know I'm a farmer, but I think I'm a conservative first. So I'm able to wade through all of these guys throwing out lifelines to farmers. I mean, one of the reasons why the Department of Ag, the Farm Bill, food stamps, that's to help people eat. Well, they subsidize us so that there's cheap food. And as long as farmers recognize that, hey, they're going to subsidize you, you're going to get a cheap price for your whatever you sell.
Well, I agree. I don't want to take on everything right now. I want to stay focused on the tariff issue and the subsidy that the president is proposing. I do understand your point, very, very important point that you're making. But we're going to overwhelm people.
But when they're throwing lifelines,
but I love this line that this is temporary. How does the president know it's temporary? First of all, things are temporary. Things aren't temporary. It's hard to know. But unless these countries are going to capitulate, and I don't even know what that means in the context of what we're talking about here, I guess he's not going to. But meanwhile, there's dislocation. I'll give you another example, if I may, Jed. Let's say I have a contract, and I'm going to buy a certain amount of whatever it is, steel, for a certain price, right? And I have this contract in place for 6 months. And all of a sudden, tariffs are put in place. And I say, wait a minute. I need more steel, and we agreed to a certain price. What happens then? I have a better one for you. United States military. They just passed an increase in the military spending, right, Jed?
Right.
There's some predictions, some green eye shade guys at the Pentagon have to figure out how many bombers we need, how many bombs, how many jets, how many missiles, how many tanks, how many personnel carriers, on and on and on. And they do all these figures. They figure it out. Now the price of steel just went up. I guess we're going to have less tanks and bombers, aren't we?
Well, I have to deal with labor. I try and be efficient in being cost effective in how I raise my crops, and then all of a sudden the price of my wages goes up, and then all of a sudden my cost changes. I can't.
Let me tell you what else is going to go up: the price of your equipment.
Exactly.
It's all going to go up.
Everything. And it's like a Ponzi scheme. It's just inflation, higher, higher, higher.
And it protects only certain industries. So, of course, and you're going to see it. Wow, look at that industry's doing better, and they've got more jobs, and they're set. But what you're not going to see is the downstream industries that are doing worse, that are struggling, and people losing their jobs or losing a bonus or losing a salary increase. Thank you for your call, Jed. Let's go to Mark, San Jose, California, the great KSFO. Go.
Hello, Mark. This is Mark Mediani. How you doing?
Everybody doesn't have to give their last name because, not you, sir, but somebody may not actually be who they say. So let's stick to first names. Go right ahead.
All right, very good. No, I'm a conservative.
What do you do, by the way? I'm just curious.
Engineering.
All right. For what?
For a defense contractor.
Okay, defense contractor.
Yeah, and I'm a conservative, but I'm also a fair trade and a free market person.
Well, that's not conservative. That's actually leftist.
All right.
Hey, look, I'm a conservative, but I want fair trade and the government has to do this. How can that be conservative?
I think the tariffs are a good thing because I think it needs to factor in the cost of social programs for the people that are out of work because all the jobs are going somewhere else.
So we ought to have more tariffs then.
Yeah, I think it's a win-win. If China, if we stop,
it's a win-win. You're obviously not a farmer, are you?
I'm talking about the China $900 billion.
I'm talking about Americans.
I'm talking about the $900 billion. So the win-win.
It's not $900 billion. It's never been $900 billion. It's been in the $600 billion category. And what does that mean when we have a trade deficit with China? What does that mean? Let's walk through this like an SAT test. What does that mean?
They're buying more products than we're buying from them than they are from us.
So
if the price goes up in the U.S., if there's a trade barrier, then the products are going to come from the U.S. sources instead of from the foreign sources. And
no, they're not. If you put taxes on American products, people are going to buy less. What are you talking about? You think it's dollar for dollar? All of a sudden, Joe Q. Public says, you know what? I could have bought that. It could be China, but we're not just putting tariffs on China. It could be Canada. It could be the Europeans. It could be Mexico. We have tariffs going everywhere. Oh, no. You see, Mark, you say, you know what? That bicycle there that you could get for $150, now you can just buy it in America for $300. Well, I don't want to buy it for $300.
I guess I see it different. So if
it's not a matter of seeing it differently. This is how people behave. It's history. It's fact.
Well, I think if China decides to buy the $600 billion from
Why are you focused on China? I notice you won't talk about Canada.
No, because the biggest trade deficit is with China, because we send so much, we buy so much from them.
And what are we buying from them?
And they should buy back from us.
No, they shouldn't. Who cares what they buy? Why do I care what they buy? Why do I care if they tax their people with tariffs? Why do I care if they limit what their people can buy? It's a big world out there. I can sell it anywhere I want to. They don't want it, somebody else will buy it. But what is it that we buy from China that's so amazing that gives us a $600 billion, as you say, trade deficit? What is a trade deficit, sir?
Well, I guess product comes here and cash goes there.
Okay. So is that government to government, or is that person to person and business to business?
It's business to business.
Okay, so let's pretend, let's follow you, that we have to have a balance of trade. So which business should stop buying from China?
Well, if we could get a balance of trade, there'd be a lot more.
Answer me. I didn't ask you about if we can get a balance of trade. I want to get to a balance of trade. Which business should stop buying stuff from China?
Well,
it's business to business. It's not country to country. There's not an imbalance of trade from country to country. There's an imbalance of debt or credit from business to business, as I've used this example before. Let's say I run a company and I need a lot of oil, and I can buy oil from Saudi Arabia cheaper than anywhere else, just as a weird example. And my company buys $1 billion worth of oil from Saudi Arabia, but I buy nothing from Saudi Arabia. There's a $1 billion imbalance. So what? I'm taking that $1 billion in oil. I'm running my assembly line. I'm creating good, hardworking, middle-class, blue-collar American jobs. Who gives a damn if there's $1 billion in trade deficit? It doesn't even matter. It doesn't make sense. Do you follow me?
Okay, so, all right.
It's not like the Chinese are shipping us great cars. We don't even buy Chinese cars. It's not like the Chinese are shipping us great computers. We don't even buy Chinese computers. American companies go to China in order to manufacture things because the environment in our country's difficult, they say, they claim. And our answer is, you know what? We'll raise taxes.
Well, maybe they should buy some of our cars.
They don't want... Who is they? The Chinese government?
The people.
The Chinese people don't earn anything close to what we earn.
Well, part of it is the price.
Well, maybe we should make you the head of the American economy, and you can make all these decisions at the White House, too. Thank you for your call. You see where I'm going, folks? Maybe they should do this. Maybe they should do that. In the real world, where people are running businesses, they have to make decisions. They have to meet the bottom line. Do you think Harley Davidson only wants to expand in Europe and not in the United States? To what benefit is there other than so they can survive? Do you think Whirlpool wants to increase the price of its products by 9% in the last 3 months? What benefit is there to do that other than to survive? And who the hell sits around as a businessman and says, you know what? I'm not buying from this country because of the trade imbalance. The trade imbalance is irrelevant. When China gets tens of billions of dollars of American dollars, they have to spend it someday, some way. But forget about China. I'm talking about our allies. China's a national security exception to me. They're our enemy. Canada's not our enemy. Hell, they got more, caribou up in Canada than they have human beings. They're a great threat to us, huh? I don't think so. I'll be right back.
Mark Levin.